If the thought of designing your Airbnb stresses you out, then you need to watch this video. I'm gonna talk about the different processes we've used to design and furnish our Airbnbs, and hopefully one of these options will help you design yours. So as you can see, Tony isn't here for this video. He thought it was my time to shine, you know, and I'm the one that does the design out of the two of us, so that's why I'm here, solo dolo. So let's go. The design of your Airbnb plays such a critical role in how successful your listing is gonna be, which can naturally just add so much more unwanted stress into your life. So in today's video, we're gonna share, well, I'm gonna share, Tony flaked, but I'm gonna share 3 different ways that we've designed and set up our properties. So first things first, let's just make it clear that I am in no way, shape, or form an interior designer, design expert, a pro, none of the above. I'm just a regular old girl that thinks she has decent taste, and I love to go to Home Goods. So take my advice, you know, lightly. So I am the designer out of the two of us, Invisible Tony here. He doesn't really have any desire whatsoever to do that part of the business. He actually hates even going to the grocery store to buy eggs. So the thought of going furniture shopping just puts him in a really bad mood. So I just don't even ask him. But I love it. And even though I love it, it also stresses me the beep out, just because I know how critical the design is to the success of our business. So just naturally, that is overwhelming. So we currently have 10 active short-term rentals, and they've all been unique as to how we've designed and set them up. Some were already running as short-term rentals or turnkey, and some were brand new and completely empty slates. So I'm gonna break down the 3 different processes that we've used for each of these. But first, I just wanna share that I always use Pinterest for design inspo. Again, I'm no creative genius or expert, so Pinterest and simple Google searches have truly been a saving grace. I may have like an initial vision or idea or vibe of what I'm thinking about doing, and I just use the power of the good old internet and already existing design examples to build on that idea. So highly recommend starting out by figuring out what the style and vibe you want for your space, and then go from there. So process number 1, I call the Turnkey and Go. So this process is probably my favorite since it requires the least effort. But what I mean by Turnkey and Go is that the property is already furnished and capable of being rented out as is. So all of our cabins in Tennessee were set up this way, which made it so much easier to set up remotely. So we use the listing photos and the help of our cleaner and handyman for this process. We use the listing photos to identify what major furniture pieces we think need to be replaced or what furniture pieces can be added to enhance the space. Then we have our cleaning team go through the entire property top to bottom and take inventory of what is broken, what's missing, what's ugly, what we need more of. And once we get that list from them, we place all the orders and either ship it straight to that property or we ship it to our cleaner's house. And our amazing team, who we're so grateful for, set it all up. So essentially, we're just freshening up the space a bit, swapping out a few pieces, getting new bedding and new kitchen supplies, take new professional photos, and voila, it's a brand new and improved place and ready to go, balling on a budget style. We live in California, so obviously we leverage our team to assist us with this process. We make sure to compensate them always for their time and effort, and we're so appreciative to have a team that's willing to help us in this capacity. So if you have a team and you don't live in the same area as your short-term rental, this might be a good system for you to do if your property is turnkey and just needs to be sprucened up a bit. And for those of you that do live close to your short-term rental and self-service, You can do this turnkey and go process, but obviously you'd be the one taking the inventory and setting up the new items instead of a handyman or a cleaner. So this process is simple and works well if your property is already in decent shape design-wise. No need to reinvent the wheel and completely start from scratch. You don't need to remove all the furniture. You can replace larger items if you'd like, little by little if needed, and really save on the startup cost this way. All right, process number 2 is hire it out. Trust me, I know all the stress that comes along with setting up a property. We've done 11, I think, so far, and have felt different levels of stress with each one. But hiring a professional interior designer is probably the biggest stress reliever, and I highly recommend it. We ended up hiring our friend Bree, who we've talked about before, and she had just helped my best friend Sabrina at the time with the interior design of her primary residence. So I had just seen her work firsthand. My best friend said great things about her work and working with her, so I decided to reach out and gauge her interest in designing our tiny home. I believe we initially sent her photos of the property. I sent her inspo pics, and she gave us a quote. We signed the contract, and that was it. Next, we visited the property together in Joshua Tree. So we met at the property, we walked the space together, talked about different furniture options, visions. She took measurements of every single wall and window and called it a day. Then about a week or so later, she sent over the initial design layout, which included a PDF rendering with all of the furniture pieces laid out exactly the way they'd be in the actual space, which was amazing, and an Excel file with every single item, the price, and the link to purchase it, and any other specific details like the color that she recommended we order, the size of the window treatment. So those 2 pieces were like mind-blowing, awesome, and so grateful that we hired her. We gave her feedback on some items, and once we finalized the design, I placed all of the orders and had them shipped to our primary residence. From there, we waited for all of the items to arrive. We rented a huge U-Haul truck, loaded it with everything we bought for the Airbnb, and then we drove out to Joshua Tree and spent the next 3 days setting it up ourselves. It was me, Tony, and Sean, which we don't do anymore, let me just add, because we've learned that we hate it and we almost kill each other every time we do it. So now we hire it out. But hiring an interior designer is an amazing option, and we highly recommend this route, especially if you don't have the time or desire to do it yourself, or if it's just gonna cause you more stress than it brings you joy. Bree was so easy to work with, and we continued to use her for our other Joshua Tree properties. And we were okay with her not even walking the spaces anymore. We just built that relationship. Instead, we just sent her photos of each room, give her the measurements like how she took that one time, and she'd whip up the design, and that worked for us. So it was like virtual designing, I guess. So we highly recommend her, and if it's not her, like, don't be afraid to venture out and search for virtual designers. They don't have to be in the market or access the market or the property that you are setting up. So Bree has been the only designer that we've ever worked with, but I know that other investors have used interior designers that provide extra hands-on services, like actually assembling the furniture and completely setting up the space and staging it. So this kind of interior designer is perfect for the Tonys in the world that have zero interest in choosing and assembling furniture. So if that's you, think about it. Obviously, this would be the most expensive option, but hey, time is money, and sometimes your sanity is worth it. So if you have some extra money and you don't think you have the skill set or desire or time, you might as well spend it on hiring a professional to do the work for you. You won't regret it.
That's my credo, no regrets.
One thing I do want to point out, if you do decide to hire an interior designer, is to make sure you communicate with them what your vision is, what your budget is, what your deadline is to completely set up the property, and let them know that it's for short-term rentals. If they could be mindful of the furniture selections and delivery times, and choose sturdy yet cost-efficient items. Unless your short-term rental is going to be a luxury listing, then you don't need to get the best of the best furniture. Stuff is 100% gonna break no matter what, so having medium-ish quality is the way we like to go. Before I move on to process number 3, I'd really appreciate if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, especially because I'm by myself. And please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications. Every subscriber really does mean a lot to us. And if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. And be sure to follow us on Instagram. I'm at Sarah Rad, and Invisible Tony is at Tony J Robinson. Also follow us on TikTok at The Real Estate Robinsons. And last, if you're not yet an Airbnb host, sign up using our link in the description and you'll get a cash bonus for signing up. And we'll get a small cash bonus as well for referring you. All right, process number 3, do it yourself. And this is exactly what it sounds like, literally doing it all yourself. If you're the kind of person that enjoys design shows, you enjoy furniture shopping, you enjoy assembling furniture, you love Pinterest pinning, then this is a great method for you. We recently started to do this, not because I wanted to, but because Bree was unfortunately too busy to take on 4 of our new projects because she got her own Airbnb. But my confidence in designing has grown, since our first tiny home, which was, a year and a half ago. And I guarantee that yours will too after you do just one. So if you're initially kind of interested in doing it, but you're not too confident, maybe hire the first one out or have someone help you do the first one. And then after that, you can have the confidence and knowledge to do it yourself, which is where I'm at now. After doing this several times, learning which types of furniture to avoid, and thanks to Bree's simple PDF and Excel sheets, I felt confident enough now to design these completely on my own. Obviously, with the help of Pinterest and Google, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I still am not a creative genius enough to come up with these visions on my own, but hey, that's what the internet's for, so don't be afraid to use it. So I start off with deciding on what vibe we're trying to go for first. So for our most recent listing we set up, the door was bright orange. So that kind of just sparked my interest and made me want to do something fun and bright for the design. And I had recently just gone to a fun, tropical, cutesy, modern bar. And I don't know, I just kind of put the 2 and 2 together and thought that design would be perfect for this cute little tiny home with the orange door. So I started off with focusing on the biggest space, which in this case is the bedroom. I searched the web for different tropical wallpaper for the accent wall and found literally exactly what I was thinking of. So, that was amazing. Then I knew I wanted light oak wood accents, so I looked for a light oak bed frame, searched the web for that, and I found something even more beautiful than my brain could have imagined on the internet. And it was on article, it was a good price, fit the space perfectly. So yeah. So I continued to do this for each section of the house and filled out the item list Excel sheet that Bree was using to keep track of the items that I had in mind and to keep track of the expenses to make sure I was in line with my budget. I also did what Bree would do for the rendering of the space and put all of that together so I can see what all of my selections would look like together. So I would take screenshots of the furniture that I'm interested in, then plug them all into a template I created on Canva. So once I identified all of the furniture pieces and placed them in the Canva template I created for the property, I can see exactly what the space is going to look like. And it makes it so easy to tell if certain items just don't mesh well, and it makes it so much easier to make those changes and find alternative options. And for these properties that I've designed myself, I exhausted all my mental energy. There was a lot going on in our personal life also. And I cried a couple of times because I went from designing 0 to all of a sudden being in charge of designing 5 all by myself, and it was a lot. So but I did it, and I'm really proud and excited to show you guys what they look like. And bam, that's it. Your girl fully designed our newest Airbnb all by myself with the help, of course, of our awesome team in Joshua Tree that helped assemble everything. So couldn't do it without you guys.
Thank you.
And again, this is just me having a vision of what I want for my space. Recent inspo from a bar I went to, decent-ish eye for design, and a great Google search ability. So no super special skill set I have, and I'm confident that the majority of the people watching are very capable of doing it also. Because I know how expensive it is to, get that property. Your capital is probably all in the property, enough as it is, so you're tied up with finances, and it doesn't really make sense financially to hire a team to assemble the furniture or to design the space. So if you're tight on cash, then just buckle down and do it yourself. And that's it. Those are the 3 different processes we've personally used to design and set up our Airbnb so far. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you guys are designing and setting up your properties. And which of the 3 that I mentioned are your preferred method. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you guys. Until next time, I'm Sarah. I'm Tony. And we are the Real Estate Robinsons.